So today we're going to talk about must make money moves that once you start making six figures, which is $100,000, that you need to start if you haven't been doing this already. Ideally, you should be doing it already, but if you're not, then you need to focus on this once you start making that six-figure number. And I'm going to go in the order of what I think is the most important that you should go with. The first one is to chip away high interest credit card debt. So if you have credit card debt, and if you're being smart about your money, you've already started working on not having high interest credit card debt, because that's just interest is the cost of what you're spending. So if you have put things on credit card, then it's costing you more than what you're actually buying it for, and you're not paying it off at the end of the month. You're letting interest accumulate. It's going to cost you more in the long run. So credit card debt carries an interest of up to 30%. 30%. That is almost 1/3 of the cost of your stuff. These interest rate goes up and down. They can rise and these things. This is oh my God, 30%. You've ever heard of anything such a thing? Instead of letting high interest credit cards linger, chip away at it. Now you're making more money. So take the time to spend on this and address more than just your minimum payment, because it's costing you more of your budget if you're paying 30% interest rate. Ideally, you always want to pay your credit card off at the end of the month. I pay my credit card every week. I don't wait until the end of the month because I put everything on there. I want my points, I want the other things, but I want to make sure that I can pay it off, because if you're going to get points of a couple of $100 and then you're paying 30% interest on that, it does not make any sense. Second thing I think you need to do is start an emergency fund immediately. If you don't have one already, once you start making more money, it is important to have savings goals. This is where the pots come in, savings goal pots. So an emergency fund for a rainy day should be the first one that you start with. Start with getting your first $1,000 set aside. Put it in a money market account so it's earning interest. Don't stop there. Usually people try to say, there's different people that says different things on this. 3 to 6 months of living expenses is usually the key. The more the better, obviously. Make sure you keep this in a money market account that is earning interest. You never know, with the high rate of inflation and layoffs, you never know. The more the better. As a bonus, if you want to you definitely want to either do a high yield or a savings account so your money can grow, or a money market account so your money can grow until you need it. If you haven't done this yet, if you don't have a budget, start a budget. If you have a budget, revisit your budget. Your budget should be something that you're looking at all the time. You don't just make it and leave it. You make it and redo it. You make it and look at it. You make it and see where you're at. Your budget is like your guide to where you're going. Am I going in the right directions? I have the directions in my hand. You know, you have your GPS. But are you following your GPS? Your budget is your GPS. You need to be following it. And you need to be constantly listening to it and looking at it in order for you to know that you're following it. So every time your income changes, it's important to go back to the board, the drawing board, and then you look at your budget and change your priorities. Because if you're making more money, your priorities might be shifting. The nature of the beast is when you make more, you want more stuff. So you start spending more. However, if you're budgeting correctly, it will help you to stop doing wasteful spending. You want to do intentional spending. You want to understand what you're spending and be comfortable with what you're spending. Don't do unintentional spending. If you don't give yourself a little wiggle room, when you make more money, you can go off and spend like crazy. So budgets are a way that you control and restrain yourself in order to not let you have unhealthy levels of spending. Like I said, intentional spending. Contribute to your retirement account. So this is one of the most important routine that you need to be working out. These days, it's the 401k, the one that you have at work. You want to definitely be contributing to this. Being a tax accountant, I know a lot of people's wealth today are in their 401ks. So you're putting it in there, you're forgetting it. Keep upping it as times go by. I can tell you that that's how we do it. We kept upping it as time go by when we reevaluate our budget. You should set up automatic payroll deductions for your 401k at least to the rate of what your employer is matching, at least there. So at least you're not leaving free money on the table when it comes to that. You should also contribute to traditional Roth IRAs. You can do Roth or traditional depending on what stage of your tax bracket you are. Regular traditionals are tax deferred, meaning the tax is paid at withdrawal, but Roth provides tax-free withdrawal because the money goes in post-tax. So you want to talk to your tax advisor and decide which one of those are better for you in different times. So these are all benefits, but depending on your financial strategy and where you want to go, you will know which one is right for you and whichever time. Building your other goal pots. This is definitely something that you want to reevaluate when you start making six figures. Let's say you've already built up your emergency fund. What's next? When you're making $100,000, it's a good idea to set aside other goals. Maybe you want to do some renovations on your house. You want to do some traveling with your family each year. You want to build these funds to specifically set aside, and I use different accounts for each one of my funds because I want to remember what I want to target my funds and be focused on what it is that I'm putting the money in there for. So I call it saving for a purpose. All of my money that I'm saving is designated for something. I'm saving for a purpose. When you're saving for a purpose and you have long-term and short-term goals, you're reminded as to what it is that your goals are. It reminds you not to spend wastefully because you have these particular goals that you want to accomplish. Another one of the goals that you might want to accomplish is buying a home. I personally believe that part of the American dream is owning your own home, and no matter how much different the interest rate is, or how much different the real estate market is, or all these different things, ideally that should always be part of your financial goals, is owning real estate. Getting into real estate is to me better, often most of the time better than renting. Yet it saves you, and it saves you on many different things. So you want to make sure that if owning your first home or owning a rental property is one of your goals, you have that pot ready and starting to go. Automate most of this if you need to. Decide on what type of place that you can afford. Decide on what your goals are, and then start your housing fund. Owning a property has responsibilities, and like I was talking to Chala the other day, I was telling her, yes, it's responsibilities, but being an adult is being responsible. So every risk has their rewards. So if you don't want responsibility, your rewards are going to be less. So you want to make sure you understand historically, home in areas appreciate over time, and it can be one of the largest financial assets for people. Once you start making more, you have to start thinking about ways to protect and grow your finances. Money can work for you, but only if you work at having it do so. So you have to give it permission to work for you. Give it the real permissions to work for you by prioritizing it. The more you make, the more opportunities will come with growing your wealth, travel, giving back to your community. Working with a professional sometimes is a best way to do that if you need help to grow and learn about your budget and all of your long-term goals. Remember, if you like the videos that you're seeing on the Modern Savvy CPA, make sure that you like and subscribe on this channel, and you comment below on the things that you want to hear about getting your way to your financial freedom.